welcome back to Mik'd. Today is Monday, March 9th. Lots to talk about today. A lot of it's going to revolve around LSU baseball. Some of it's going to revolve around SEC baseball. Some of it's going to revolve around the World Baseball Classic that's off and running. Paul Skeens on the mound tonight at 7 o'clock. Who do they play?
They play.
Do we know? We should know that.
We do know.
We know. We just
Mexico.
They play
haven't beaten
Mexico.
Mexico in the World Baseball Classic in quite some time.
So Paul Skeens' first appearance as a World Baseball Classic pitcher. Should be exciting. Obviously, that comes on at 7. But lots to talk about.
Will he be dubbed Captain America?
Will he be dubbed Captain? Listen, I mean, was in the Air Force. You know, there's all the things that kind of line up to that. We'll see how it goes. I'd imagine he's going to go out there and he's going to be very dominant in Paul Skeens' fashion. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on the show, but we're going to talk a lot early on in the show about LSU baseball. They're coming off their worst week of baseball in a very long time. They went 1-4 over the week. They lost the series at home against Sacramento State. And if you follow everybody that's following the team, you would think the world is falling. It is not great right now. That is factual. They're not playing the brand of baseball that they want to play. They're not playing the brand of baseball that we expect them to play. They're not playing the brand of baseball that all the other fans expect them to play. With that being said, season's not over. Things need to get fixed. And I think that after hearing our conversation, I think there's going to be a little bit more of, I don't want to say positivity, or maybe some things to look forward to this weekend. We're going to go through what happened this past weekend and kind of break it down in a baseball way. I'm going to go into it. Jared's going to go into it. Lloyd's going to give his opinions on what he's seeing.
That's the one you should listen to.
There's a lot of things that you can look at on the surface and say, man, they're just not a good team. They're very talented, and I do believe they're a very good team. They're not playing as a very good team right now, and I think there's a couple factors. Some of those things have to do with the on-field play and things that are happening to cause the on-field play to be what it is. Other things are things that happen not on the field. I'm not saying they're happening off the field. It's more of a mental thing. It's more of a mindset type of thing. And when you get in the middle of these ruts, I don't want to say the S word, but when you get into these ruts, sometimes you have to do certain things mentally to kind of trick yourself into putting yourself in a better position.
Saltbuster.
Right? That's not what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of things. Look, I've been through it. Jared's been through it. There's a lot of things that happen through the course of a season that when you look at them in a microscope as they're happening, it's the worst thing in the world. And you look at it at the end of the season, after the 56, 70, however many games they're going to play, and you look back at a small stretch, you say, okay, well, that's just kind of how baseball goes, right? Right now they're in a bad stretch. Offensively, they're not doing the things that they need to do. They're not scoring runs. Their starting rotation has been really good. I think if there's a bright spot, that is it. Kason Evans got back to Kason Evans form this past weekend. He looked electric. He touched 99 in the first inning. He was very dominant. 5 in the third. I think he only threw like 71 pitches. He is ready to go this weekend at Vandy. Cooper Moore, same thing. He had another outstanding start. Did what he's done since day one. And then William Schmidt, another really good start on Sunday. He did the things that he's been doing, and he has progressed forward. We're going to get into some of those numbers that tend to kind of lean towards like a similar jump that Cade Anderson made, right? And it's because of a new pitch. It's because of a shift in how he's approaching hitters. We're going to get into all of that, right? Offensively is the big question. Offensively is like what's going on with the team. Listen, and I'm not making excuses because this weekend there's no excuses to be made, right? They went out there. They did not play the brand of baseball that they needed to play. Friday was amazing. They swung it. Everybody was getting hits. They're hitting balls over the fence. Everything was right. Saturday, didn't score until the ninth inning. or eighth inning to make it close. Obviously, ninth inning, they had the ability to win the game. In the bottom of the ninth, it did not happen. And then on Sunday, I like to call that getting baseballed, right? They did not play well in the sense of scoring runs. But if you go back and you look at all of their at-bats, I believe, and Jared, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they had 20 balls hit that were 95 miles an hour plus. The
exact number, I don't know for sure, but it was definitely around 20 or upwards of 20 on Saturday and Sunday combined.
And so on Sunday, I would imagine a lot of those on Sunday, I mean, if you watch the game, there were balls being hit all over the ballpark. Sacramento State made some outstanding plays defensively. LSU did not make some plays that they needed to make. They weren't necessarily ruled errors, but they didn't make the plays that you needed to make. So we're going to go into all of that and maybe kind of bring everybody back down to earth a little bit. Listen, 12-5 before conference play started is not how anybody drew up the start of the season. But now you start the real part of the season. You go into the SEC. You go on the road against Vanderbilt, who is a talented team. They're going through their own struggles. The SEC kind of went through a kind of a wacky weekend. A lot of teams got beat, not just by one game, but a lot of teams lost series to teams that they should not have lost to. And so I'm not saying that to make us feel better and a misery loves company. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that around the country, not just LSU, they're going through some of the same stuff. Obviously, Texas did what they do, and they're dominating, and they're playing really good baseball right now. LSU is not, right? But that can be shifted in one game or one weekend. And I want to talk about some of these other things that I'm seeing and some of the stats and some of the advanced stats maybe that lead me to believe that this thing could be turned around. We're joined by producer, co-host, Lloyd Courtney, baseball savant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Numbers guy.
That's right.
He's a numbers guy.
1 for 2, you're betting 500.
That's it. Also joined by our two-time national champion, once in football, once in baseball, talking head for the SEC Network, which has given him a lot of resources that have helped us make our show better. Jared Mitchell, welcome to the show.
Is how's the weather? How's the temperature down there right now?
It's warm.
It's steamy.
It's warm. Yes, it is warm. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting there's earthquakes in
we got earthquakes in Shreveport. It's crazy. Crazy times.
Yeah, it's early. Okay. All right.
Before we get into all this, right? I talked about it in the intro. I talked about things that I want to talk about. Before I get into this, let's go surface level and go around the horn here. Lloyd, you watched the games this weekend. You saw what happened over I guess starting from Monday on. Really, from last week to this week. Last weekend they won, but they didn't score a bunch of runs. And then on Monday is kind of when it really started going south. What are some of the things that you've seen? I guess that concern you, and then I want Jared to give his opinion, and then we'll go into the baseball conversation here.
Well, it did feel like what was we gave them a lot of credence, right? You played a lot of baseball, 8 games in 9 days or something like that, so it did feel like the boys need to get their legs back underneath them. You wanted to get back. One, you thought it would be nice to play a competitive game against ULL, kind of get those juices flowing after you started off so hot. You saw what the potential of this team was, and it raised your expectation, considering you're coming off a national championship already high, but then you see the new guys kind of show up and show out. You saw everybody kind of come back to earth a little bit. Then it became, they just got back from Jacksonville. They're playing baseball again. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to drop it to a non-con team, that's fine. Maybe you need to get out the friendly confines of Alec Box, go on the road, get the sweat up a little bit. You start Gavin Guidry, so it obviously meant something. Drop that game, and then you see the offensive explosion, right? That you've been waiting to see. You have we took a day off. We had got back into our rhythm and our routine that Jay wants to have. 17 runs. It was over before it started, and then you drop the next 2. So when it got to that point, it started to feel like, okay, what's wrong, right?
Right.
Like, what are you looking for? And baseball is a long game. It's a long series of teams that you have to play. It's going to have its ebbs and flows, its ups and downs. But I think the one thing that people are focusing on the most is now looking at the demeanor of the team.
Correct.
Looking at what in this world of NIL and whatever it may be, the addition of the transfer portal guys, like, do they care as much as you want to see? Is that a lot of people are pointing out, like, oh, they don't seem to care as much in the dugout when they're losing, but it seems to be going great when they're winning. My thing was, I said it this morning, was this team loves to win, but they don't hate to lose. And it's early to say that because none of these games necessarily have the amount of punch that maybe it needs to be. It's not conference play. They don't necessarily matter as much, but you still would like to see somebody, if it's not Gavin Guidry, it feels like it is. Like you saw him pick people up in the dugout, all those things, but you have to develop an intense hatred for losing because it's easy to win.
Correct.
It's fun to win. You have to hate losing, and that's what I think people are kind of starting to focus on because if there's one person I know that hates losing more than he loves winning, it's Jay Johnson.
Right, and look, that's a big topic that we're going to get into after Jared gives us his opinion on what he saw.
The state of LSU baseball.
So I mean, I guess what I saw over the weekend, like it's just the most. Here's, I guess, the best way to put it is I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, like, what are we watching? Because the team you watched on Friday night was definitely not the team you saw on Saturday and Sunday. And now you sit here and you're thinking, well, there's only 2 players today sitting in that lineup that have played, I guess, started like 10 games or more, got 50 or more at bats that are hitting over 300. Now, that doesn't really mean a ton because hitting over 300 on only 50 at bats is not a big deal. But for reference, if you go back to last year, they had 6 different guys that were doing it at the time. And that didn't even include Josh Pearson or Ethan Fry. Like both of those guys didn't have that amount of bats, but were still hitting over 300. So you really may be able to call it 8. So you wonder, you're sitting here watching, am I watching kind of the whole team in a slump at one time? Or am I watching a team that really isn't that good offensively? That's what you're sitting here trying to figure out what you got going on. I do think at the end of the day, Lloyd, you mentioned that Jay Johnson is definitely one of those guys that wants to win. Well, Jay Johnson also doesn't play, but Jay Johnson, I think, in my opinion, is facing something that he's never really had to face in his entire coaching career, which is winning at the level that he has won at LSU. How do you continue to reinvigorate, re-energize, and refocus a team to understand that these games matter year in and year out, right? Because the more you win, the more you bring in guys, the more you continue to have guys who have only had the success and are come into a program that is that successful. How do I keep recreating and keep that hunger within the people that are in this clubhouse to let them know it wasn't always like this?
Correct.
And it ain't always going to be like this. So I think that is a challenge that Jay is probably going through as well, to be able to push that upon that group of guys to understand that yesterday's success is yesterday, and you got to go create a new day to day. And that's where I think they're sitting in that spot where, because I don't think that this is a bad team, but it's hard. You don't really see a lot of teams sitting there where almost the entire lineup's quote unquote slumping or struggling at one point.
And
go ahead.
I'm sorry, but to go ahead, like with your point, Jay kind of spoke about this a little bit where he said I don't want to say it's easy here, and I don't want to put words in his mouth because I'm about to play the clip, but he's saying like he's been through adversity before where he's taken over programs that weren't good. And now what they've built at LSU is like you expect to be good, and they haven't really gone through anything that hard whenever you've been recruited by LSU to play there. Obviously, you played very well in high school and didn't face a lot of adversity there. If you were in the transfer portal and you got picked by LSU to come play there, obviously you had a very good career in college baseball to be able to get to LSU. And so here's him talking about them facing adversity early in the year.
Work. It's the only way through it. I mean, I know there's never been any adversity here. Luckily, I have. I coached, 2 programs where, one, I didn't have one player that had ever played in the NCAA tournament, and we went to Omaha. At Nevada, it was a 23 or 24 win team, that you were taking over. Here, not one player had ever been to Omaha, that when we came here. So, like, you work your way through these things. It's just obviously you look around here, there's not much adversity here ever, but I have, and so I thought I did what was best for them today. And then I will reevaluate that to try to get more out of them. But again, that'll be between me and the players, not between me, you guys, and the players. And no disrespect to that. That's just, if I was a player, I wouldn't feel supported by my coach if he talked to you guys about it and then talked to me about it. So I will never do that. So just in line of your questioning, I think you guys need to know that.
And listen, he's right? The only way you get through this is to work through it. Right, and I agree with Jared. Yeah, it's he's facing something at LSU that he's never faced before, and in a sense, it's up to him to help try to get these guys back right? That's what a head coach does. That's what a manager does. He's able to do certain things, talk to guys, get them to buy in, get them to do the things that they need to do to kind of turn things around. But on the flip side, there's got to be an onus on the players to take responsibility for what is happening and how they're playing, right? And there's been a lot of conversation out there that these players don't care because they're getting paid and all this kind of stuff. They're looking to the next level. I don't believe that. I do believe that they do care. I just believe that they're going through something right now that they're not used to going through, right? And the only way you can get out of that is to come together and figure out as a team. And I'm not saying have player meetings. I'm not none of that. But somehow you have to look at each other, and it's got to be about more than just playing for the stats. It's got to be playing. Look, everybody wants to say, "Oh, you got to play for LSU." Yeah, sure. Yeah, in a sense, you got to play for the guys next to you, right? You've got to be wanting to do these things because the guy behind you and the guy in the 7-hole or 8-hole, like the guy behind you in the lineup, because of you don't want to lose because of them, right? You want to play and you don't want to disappoint those guys. And I do think you have some leadership on the team, and I think that they're going through. This is going to make them better. I think they're going through something right now that it's going to either bring them closer together or they're going to go further apart. And I'm willing to bet, based off the conversations that we've had with players here and off air and the relationships that we've built, that it's going to end up bringing them closer together, right? Now, with that being said, when you go through a rut like this and you're going through a few games of not getting hits or not doing the things that you want to do, there's got to be a shift in your mentality.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be about, okay, I'm going to go out and get a hit, right? It can't be about that right now. It's got to be about, okay, if I'm not feeling great or I'm not getting hits, how can I say, all right, let me shift the way I think about a good at-bat or a quality at-bat? If you go 0 for 4 and you come back in, you say, I had a shitty day, that's not the right mentality. But if you go 0 for 4 and you say, oh, well, I moved the guy over, I got the guy in, hit a sacrifice fly, I worked a walk, I made a play on defense. You can say, if you go on 0 for 4 and you say, okay, I had 4 at-bats, I had a game plan on all 4 at-bats, and I executed the game plan, it's not always going to be a hit, but you executed what you're trying to do, those then become successful at-bats. And the more times you do that, the better you're going to be and the more hits you're going to end up getting, and the numbers are going to be there at the end, right? And a lot of people fall into the trap of, okay, I'm 0 for 12, I got to do more, I got to do more. In reality, you got to do less. You got to simplify what you're trying to do, right? If you're not playing well, you're not swinging the bat well, you don't feel well, I've been there. Listen, I'm speaking through it from experience, right? I have gone 0 for 23 to start a Major League season and ended up getting designated for assignment because I was my own worst enemy. Because instead of saying, all right, I have got to do something to be productive, I said, I have to start getting hits or I'm not going to be here anymore, and that crippled me, right? And so you have to shift the mentality of saying, all right, what do I need to do? When I'm not playing well, what goes through your mind is like, all right, well, my stance doesn't feel great. My swing doesn't feel great. I'm swinging underneath pitches. I'm popping balls up. All of those things combined in your head are crippling to you as an offensive player. But if you say, all right, listen, I feel like shit. I'm going to go up to the plate and I'm going to try to, if nobody's on base, I'm going to try to work a 7-8 pitch at bat. I'm just going to put this ball in play. Or there's a guy on second base, no outs, and you're not feeling good. Okay, my game plan is I got to get this guy to third base somehow. I don't care if you hit a squibber to the second baseman and you get him over. That's a success, right? Now there's a guy at third base, less than 2 outs. How am I going to get him in? I don't care what it looks like. I just need to get this guy home. And you can hit same thing. Squibber to second base, the guy scores. You hit a jam shot single, scores. Guy makes a diving play in the outfield, the guy scores. That is productive at bats. You have to trick your mind into thinking that, okay, a successful at bat is not just a base hit. And I know Jay's talking to him because he's talked to us about this. He's talked to us about how there's more to baseball and there's more to having quality at bats than just getting base hits. And so for me, what it looks like right now is you have a few guys in the lineup that are pressing because they're trying to get hits, right? Now, look, we talked about this before the year started. The biggest concern, or the biggest, I guess, question mark I had was like, man, you have a lot of guys that either transfer here because they want to up their stock or draft eligible guys this year. How are they going to react to a draft year? How are they going to react to, I'm going to a new place because I wanted to put a stamp on my name saying I am an elite player to get to the next level, right? That's a lot of pressure on you as a player. And so what it seems like is a lot of these guys right now is just because it's happening to a few guys at the same time, so it's magnified, is a lot of these guys are going through 0 for 4, 0 for 7, 0 for 10, whatever it is, not hitting balls hard, not getting hits. And those guys are allowing the non-success by getting base hits to consume them, and it's bringing their demeanor down. And as contagious as hitting is, that is also contagious. And so if you have multiple guys that are doing that, and they are kind of, walking around, I'm not saying they're like, being bad teammates to other people, like vocally or doing whatever, but if they are upset because they're not playing well and they start hanging their heads and the demeanor goes down, then you start seeing the body language issues that I think a lot of people are starting to notice right now. And so for me, that's my biggest, I guess that's the biggest thing that I saw this weekend on the offensive side. And Jared, you can kind of go into this in more detail if you want about what I just said, but for me, that's kind of what I see.
I mean, honestly, the biggest detail I wanted to hit on the entire situation is I think it's one of the tougher things to actually understand as a young hitter, and especially in a 56-game schedule, right? Like you, at best, played all the games and you play deep into the year, into the postseason, like you're getting a little over 200 at-bats, maybe 250 at-bats, which in the grand scheme of things, in terms of numbers and how baseball numbers work, it's not a ton of at-bats. But I will say, it's the understanding that sometimes, much like when you're in the cage, right? If you're going to sit there and you're doing either tee work, or if you're going to sit there and you're doing flips, whatever it is, and you just keep rolling over a ball, or you keep one bad swing the same way, a lot of people will sit there and try to get you to do the exact opposite, right? And then somewhere in the middle of that is where you are. Well, what you're doing in that situation is you're sacrificing a pitch. So there may be a time as a hitter where you have to understand, all right, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's what I need to do to get back right if you know your swing and how you do things. All right, maybe I need to sacrifice this pitch. So that may mean I either take and or shoot in the foul ball territory, the fastball that I love to hit and the count that I love to hit in, right? You're doing these things to get the swing back right to where now you're back in a spot to where you're somewhere in the middle of it. That's kind of how it usually goes. And so it may end up being sacrificing in that bat. It may work out to your favor to where you shoot a double down the line opposite field or something. Hit that ground ball hard right at shortstop, right at, if you're a lefty, or hard at the second baseman if you're a righty. Those kind of things that kind of reset the swing and get you back and get your sights and your swing and all your moves and everything back right. That is such a hard thing for a youngster to understand that, and understand how to do that in real time of a game. But sometimes those are the best things for you, because in the grand scheme of things, like I said, it may be one at bat, but it may be the one at bat that gets you right back on track for the next 50. Correct. And that's what you're looking for. And so I think as an individual, I think some of those guys need to kind of go through that process as they kind of get themselves ready for games this week. And once again, this team, I mean, no disrespect to them. Sac State should never be coming into Alex Box and beating you best 2 out of 3.
Right.
And so, especially at this time of the year. So for that, something like that to happen, you have to understand, like, this isn't an under-recruited LSU squad. Mm-hmm. This isn't a not talented LSU team. You need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, this shit's unacceptable. Right. Like, we can't lose series like this. Yes, you drop games here and there. All these things happen. How you drop them, that matters. That's a different conversation. Dropping a series to a team that is nowhere near as talented as you, so that basically means for at least, and it was that, 18 innings you got outplayed, that's unacceptable. Right. It's unacceptable. And it can't happen, off the heels of you showing what you're capable of doing on Friday night. Because if you're Jekyll and Hyde and you're up and down that much, I promise you, when that 30-game conference schedule comes around, you will get your ass handed to you day in and day out in those situations. And it makes it a very long season, and it makes it a very early exit. And that's not where you want to be. So there's a little bit of like looking yourself in the mirror, kind of looking at your boy, and there's a little bit of a gut test.
Right.
Like, where are you and where are we trying to go? Because the shit we pulled off Saturday and Sunday, it ain't going to work going forward.
No doubt.
It's not to say you don't have the bodies that you need in the clubhouse. You do. I think you do. I think you have the bodies that you need in that clubhouse to be a very competitive, very good ball club. But what you put on the field, that's not going to work. And they have to know that.
Correct. And don't mistake what we're saying by saying, oh, they got to go and make these wholesale changes like as far as like individually, I got to change my swing completely. That's not what we're saying. We're saying you got to make a couple tweaks based off of what's happening, and it's a complete shift in mindset. Hitting is majority a mental thing. All these guys are talented. These guys did not just come here and forget how to hit, right? Zach York did not come here and forget how to hit the ball. And the numbers kind of show, listen, he's hitting 273, not what he came in to do. But all the other numbers, he's walking, his slugging percentage is a little lower than it needs to be. He's not like he's hitting 175, right? He's hitting 273 in 55 at-bats. And I'm not singling him out because there's a bunch of other guys. Everybody wants to talk about what's wrong with Milam. Milam hit the ball hard 3 times on Sunday. Just couldn't buy hits, right? And that's part of it, but that's also sometimes more frustrating. Man, I'm feeling really good. I'm barreling balls up, and I'm not getting hits, right? And so the worst thing to do as a hitter is to say, I am feeling good. I am hitting the ball hard. I'm doing what I'm trying to do, and it's not resulting in base hits. And the worst thing you can do at that point is to try to change things to try to get hits. You can't chase hits. Because once you start doing that, then you get further into this rut, and it's hard to get out of, right? And so for me, it's like, okay, I hit the ball really hard. And this is the hardest thing to do as an offensive player. I don't care if you're in high school. I don't care if you're in college. I don't care if you're in the professional baseball. The hardest thing to do as an offensive player is to understand or to believe that, man, I had 7 at-bats, and 5 of those 7 at-bats I was barreled up, and I didn't get any hits. Because you're doing everything right, and you're not getting rewarded for it, right? And so if you go to the flip side and you change that, then that is a disaster waiting to happen. So I believe that there's a few guys on this team that are hitting the ball pretty hard that haven't had the greatest luck. Milam being one of them. Curriel's obviously gotten his average up, but he's had some balls hard that were outs, right? I mean, these were the top exit speeds on Sunday.
No, Friday.
On Friday. Well, Friday, that's...
Oh, no, but you're saying it's in there.
Right. Well, and look, a lot of those guys... What is this?
Same thing.
It's all from Friday. So, but a lot of these guys, if you go look, I don't know what the exit speeds were from Sunday or Saturday, but you're going to have a lot of guys that have some of those same exit speeds. They just didn't result in hits. And these aren't excuses. This is what the reality of what's happening, right? And if you continue to have these good at-bats or you continue to have barreled balls, they're not always going to be hit right at guys. But if you start trying to do too much or you start trying to chase the hits, getting into SEC play, you're not going to have success. And so for me, looking at these guys, it just feels like this is a big week for them as far as the mentality goes. Saying, all right, we're not a 1-4 team against teams that are inferior to us. What do I need to do to be better for my team? Not what do I need to do to get hits? What do I need to do to be better for the team? And I think that shift in mentality is going to pay huge dividends for them moving forward into the real part of the season now, which is SEC play. They start the season with a pretty, I don't want to say favorable, because SEC's anybody can beat anybody. We've seen that before the SEC play. You start on the road against Vanderbilt, who's kind of going through their own struggles right now. You have Kentucky at home. You have Oklahoma, who's been playing good, but you get them at home. And then you have Tennessee, who's going through their own struggles. They narrowly avoided a sweep this past weekend. So you start the season off with some teams that are still trying to figure their own shit out too. So you have the ability. You've put yourself in a position where it's not the best position, But you've put yourself in a position going into SEC play of saying, okay, we can turn this thing around right now really quick. And we can look up in 4 weekends and we can be back to playing the brand of baseball that we expect to play. And to me, I think that falls on the players. Jay is going to do everything he can to get them in the right mindset and get them in the right, whatever tweaks he needs to make with their swings. But ultimately falls on the players. Jay not going to go up to the plate, and he's not going to take at bats. He's not going to go make plays on the defensive side. It's up to the players to kind of figure out what they need to do. Now, defensively is another conversation, right? We talked about this last year. Early in the year. I have no problem. Like Stanfield not being out in the outfield has been a bigger deal than I think people thought it was going to be when he first got out. It's been a longer. It's not
just in the outfield too. You got to think about him at the plate.
Correct.
Right? Like he's hit
2
years lead. Like he's a much better player than what people think. He's been impactful not only in purple and gold, but he was impactful before he ever got to LSU. And I think we're seeing kind of the remnants of that right now with him not being available.
Correct. And look, if you're not swinging the bat great, you've got to play great defense. And you've got to keep yourself close in a situation where you have an opportunity to maybe one guy can break through and you can get a big hit, right? And there's been some plays that have not been made that aren't necessarily errors. And we talked about that earlier in the year. If you're going to play left or right or center or whoever, you can play in the outfield, but you're kind of an infielder. I have no problems with that. You just have to be able to make the plays that you're supposed to make. You don't have to make any crazy plays. Just make the plays you're supposed to make. And then you have to be able to make the plays you're supposed to make on the infield. And it just feels like they haven't made all of the plays that I don't want to call them routine, but they're not routine, right? They're not extraordinary plays. You got to make the ordinary plays.
What do we say all the time? Like this is something that you've preached a long time since we've been doing the show, and it's what? Put something in the bucket.
Yep.
And that's what it feels like. They're trying to put too many things in the bucket, and then whenever you start looking at it that way, it becomes now I'm not putting anything in the bucket at all because there is a sense of I have to hit, like said, like the bases empty grand slam, like that, those type of things. But whenever you're struggling, and it does suck because Braden Simpson talked about it a little bit. He goes, baseball is a funny game the way that it works because I've been playing a long time. He says sometimes it's just a bloop single, it's a bleeder that gets through, and then there's days you hit 100 plus off the bat, and you have nothing to show for it. And if they're thinking about this and saying it out loud, that's clearly become a mindset that they've adopted. But it becomes down to if you can't look at it individually, you have to look at it holistically and what you're doing for the team. We talked about this on the way here, like if it's first and second, nobody out, you don't have to hit a double in the gap. Get it to second and third with one out. Make the right baseball play, and then everything will kind of fall in line. Like baseball kind of autocorrects itself if you're playing the game the right way. And right now, it's very evident that it feels like they're pressing.
Correct, and it's easier said than done. Right? It's a hard. If I had a magic pill that I could give to everybody and say this is what happens, I would not be sitting here talking to you. I'd hopefully be playing the World Baseball Classic. Right? Like that. It's a very hard thing to do. But the only way that I know from my failures and my experiences in going through this kind of stuff is you have to overly simplify what you're trying to do. Because the talent's there. They're as talented as any team in the country. That's no question. You just have to overly simplify what you're trying to do, and more times than not, you're going to end up having the result that you deep down want to have. There's been so many times there's examples that I can give you from my personal career of okay, I just got to figure this thing out. I don't feel great. I was playing in Tampa and I was trying to earn playing time. Kevin Cash said there's a guy on first and second, no outs, lefty on the mound, playing in Boston, in Fenway. He looks at me. He says, "Hey, I'm going to bunt you to get them over unless you can get them over." I said, "I can get them over." I had a 1-2 count, fall off a couple pitches. Guy throws a changeup. All I'm trying to do is hit the ball to right field. That's it. I'm just trying to move the guy from second to third. I ended up hitting a homer, right? And I wasn't trying to hit the homer. It just happened because of okay, I'm not thinking about what pitch he's going to throw. I'm not thinking about what my swing is doing or what I'm not doing or what I'm trying to do.
3-run homer will get me in the lineup.
Correct. I'm thinking about, okay, he said I need to move him over. I have to move him over. I'm behind the count. I got to figure this thing out.
Can't bunt now.
Can't bunt. And so it ends up working out. And there's times where it doesn't. You don't hit the homer, but there's times where you do get the jam shot to second and you get the guy over. Right? And so you have to oversimplify things, and you're going to end up having more success doing that. It's just the hardest thing to do because it's not the sexy thing to do as an offensive player.
And would you say that – go ahead.
But say it's so we talk about the hardest thing or the sexy thing to do is I think it's the most disciplined thing to do is play the game that's in front of you. Do what the game is asking you to do, what the situation is asking you to do as opposed to what you want to do in the situation. Yeah, we would all love to come up and hit 3-run homers, but if the situation is first and second with nobody out, your job at bare minimum is to move the baseball, to move these runners. Make sure you do that. And if you can stick to those principles, the big things end up kind of snowballing and happening on top of it. And that's how you kind of roll. But if you're sitting there as soon as those guys get on first and second and you're thinking, oh, I want to be the hero. I'm trying to hit the big homer. That's how you get yourself out.
Right.
And if you got a full of guys doing it, that's how it looks like the whole team is in a slump. No, I'm not saying that's exactly what they're doing. We're just giving examples of kind of things that go through hitters' minds as you're going through these slumps, as you're going through it as a team. When you can get back to holistically playing the game towards the situation that is at hand, the big moments usually end up happening as opposed to you trying to make them happen on your own.
100%. And
dollars to donuts,
yep,
especially with a coach like Jay, and this is what we were saying a little bit before, is if you make the right baseball play, if it is to get the runners over from first guy on second, one out, get him to third, guy on second, no outs, get him to third, move him over. Baseball is a game of advancement. All you're trying to do is get a man 90 feet, whether it be at a time or with the big swing, whatever it is, you're trying to go 90 feet. And if you can do it, one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, you score a run. If you score 1 run every inning, you're probably going to win the baseball game. But if you play it the right way, and the way that Jay has coached you, and if you're trying to make an impact, I don't think he cares if you go 1 for 4 with a homer, but if you had runners in scoring position or runners on base and you didn't get anybody over, you didn't do anything that was a productive at bat. That's all he talks about, is having productive at bats. He will notice you, and you will get into the lineup, and you will get more opportunity if you make the right baseball decision, whether it be defensively or offensively, but certainly in the box whenever. The game is not easy, but it is simple.
Correct.
And that's what you're wanting them to kind of realize, because there's a lot of pressure. Like when you sign up to play for LSU, you want to make an impact, you want to be seen, you want to play. And we've had some of these conversations before when it was in 2024 when I don't know when my name's going to be called. I don't know what opportunity I'm going to get, but when I get one, I have to make it known that I played and I made an impact. As opposed to, did you make an impact for yourself or did you make an impact for LSU?
Correct.
And that's what they need to get on that side of it.
Look, and this team is way different than the teams that we played on, right? It's a different brand of baseball. It's a different SEC.
It's a different era.
It's a different era. But you're looking at their schedule, right? What?
No offense.
No,
New bats.
taken. But you're looking at LSU. They're 12-5 right now. In 2009, I'm just going back because I'm going based off of my experience. We went into SEC play at 11-3. We had a home loss, series loss to Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
They were not very good. Very similar to kind of how it happened here. Actually, we lost the first game, but then we won the second one 22-10, and then they beat us 6-2 on Sunday. And then we lost to UL in a midweek game on March 11th, 11-3, before we had Kentucky at home, right? Before the SEC started. Now, I know it's 2 losses less, but my point in saying this is you're going to go through some of this stuff. Even the best teams are going to go through it. You're going to lose series to teams that you shouldn't lose to, right? How do you respond to that? And for me, I think the response is, all right, you have to have – everybody on this team has to believe that no matter what the situation is or what the score is, we're going to be able to come back and win. And it doesn't feel like they have that just yet. They have not figured that out just yet. And they need to figure it out, and I think that they will. It's just – you have to take the onus as a team, as the players, to do it.
Look, I mean, honestly, I think part of figuring that out is understanding, too, what you actually have on the mound and how these guys are thrown on the mound. I think a lot of what you can lean on, a lot of what you can understand, and you're starting to see it, is that those three guys that we're giving the ball to on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, however you want to look at it, the weekend series, those starters for sure are going to go out there and give you an opportunity. And if you can understand that if they're going to keep the run score to a minimum, they're going to continue to get you back into the dugout to get a chance to play on offense and swing the bats, you have a chance to play. And I think that's probably one of the things that we're starting to see that's revealing itself, that if you got that, now we understand that we don't have to go score 10 or 11. We can keep this thing simple. We can beat you in these small games. And then when we understand we can do these things, we can start to pile on these multi-run innings and these big innings and turn games from a five-run ball game to a 5-run inning and a 10-run ball game. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that we're starting to see play out, and I'm hoping that they are understanding that as well inside the building.
Correct. And look, going to that, right, you want to talk about what the pitching staff has been doing. The weekend rotation is elite. The weekend rotation has been good. They've done their job, right? You've had some pieces in the bullpen be a little bit inconsistent, sure. But when the pitching staff is doing what they're doing, they're going to keep you in games, which gives me hope, because I don't believe that this offense is going to be this way the entire year, right? And so as an offense, if you feel like you're always in it, it only takes one swing to get in it, right? To get out of what you're in and to win the game. And, you know, you have guys like Jake Brown who are swinging the shit out of it, right? You have Curiel who's kind of starting to get there. Milam hit the ball hard this weekend. You know, we have some numbers on York, a little bit of kind of what he's been doing over the last, 50-something at-bats, and it's not super far off from what it was last year. He's chasing a little bit more. Jared, I don't know if you want to go into this, into these numbers, but, it's not like it's the end of the world, right?
Yeah, the numbers aren't the end of the world. I will say, when I look at them, that's the one thing I think that's been great about some of this analytical stuff that you can get, that you can see that nowadays that's out there. So you can kind of understand that at the same time, one number may not be king, even though that's something that we've always looked at it as king, as if it matters the most. And one of those one numbers is like batting average, right? So many people have looked at that for so long as if it's at the top of the thing when it doesn't tell the full story. I think one of the stories that is being told right now when you look at York and how he's had the season is remember, percentages get bigger and they get wider when you have a smaller number. So for these numbers, even if the percentages are close, you got to understand there's a big disparity in terms of how many numbers and the amount of data that's going into both, right? So last year on his season, he was a 36.8% swinger. This year he's a tick down. He's almost 2% down. He swings at almost 2% less. But in that same time, he's chasing 5% more pitches than he ever has. And he's seeing 6% pitches less in the zone. So you start to wonder, how does that play for him? Now I think about him as a person and who he is and where he is and what we know of him. What we know of him is he came from GCU, where he's had a successful career. He's always swung it well. Well, he's going into a year where he felt like, you know what, the draft wasn't going to work out for me the way I wanted it to. I think I need another year in college. Where am I going to do it at? Where am I going to show that my skills play, that I do what I do best, and that it needs to be valued? Let me take my opportunity. Let me take my talent to LSU. So he's done that, right? Now you start to think, well, okay, in taking that opportunity, coming to LSU, stepping it up, and honestly, think about it, the competition hasn't truly stepped up yet. So taking your time to get to LSU, with those three things that we're just talking about, just if I'm looking at those, is there something mechanical off that's got you not seeing the ball correctly right now? Or is it something that's inside of you in terms of who you are and how you're approaching this that's got you a little bit off right now? Are you trying to do too much? Do you think you need to start hitting more homers? Do you think you need to start driving the ball out of the ballpark more? Do you think you need to start showing that you're more of a dominant offensive force to be able to get yourself to where you want to be? Once again, if those are the kind of thoughts that are going on, that's not doing what's best for LSU. That's not dropping all these personal aspirations to the side and saying, what's my job today at LSU to help us get a W when I walk out of here? if you can get on those things, the rest of those things usually tend to fall in place. And I don't know that that's where he's at. But like I said, when you see there and you look at those kind of things, you start to wonder, all right, why is stuff like this happening at this point? Is it mechanical? Is it something that's fundamental? Or is it something that's in between the ears? And that's where you start to wonder where he is right now. He's got all the ability in the world to fix that. But where he is and how he goes about that is him getting back to doing what he's done best and what he's done over the course of his career.
Correct. And when I talk about it not being that far off, right, you go look at it and you say average is one stat that has been devalued in baseball as a little bit, right? I think there's still some value in it, but a lot of people are looking at on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, all of that kind of stuff, right? And last year's OPS was 1,079, and the year before was 1,056. This year his OPS in a small sample size is 982. Not that far off, right? His on-base percentage is higher, which means he's getting on base. He's walking more than he strikes out. His slugging is a little down because obviously he hasn't juiced the ball to the ballpark as much or hit doubles as much as he wants to. But for me, it's Jared talked about the chase rate is a little bit higher, right? The pitches in the zone are a little bit higher. I mean, out of the zone are a little bit higher, which to me they coincide. He's chasing. They're throwing a little bit more out the zone. He's trying to get some hits, so he's chasing just a little bit more than he needs to chase, right? He's hitting balls up in the air a lot more than he was hitting last year. And I think that all kind of goes into trying to do too much because you look at his heat map, right? Obviously, middle up, that's good, right? Pitches up and in have not been great for him, right? And it just feels like he's chasing those pitches up and in, or he's swinging at those pitches up and in, and he's getting a tick underneath them. So his launch angle is on average higher than it was last year, which means he's hitting more balls up in the air. And so I don't believe that what he is doing is this guy is in a pickle. To me, it's just he is just going through a little bit of a stretch that he's going to get out of. I don't look at numbers or offensive numbers in college specifically until you get to 100 at-bats. Talk to me when you get to 100 at-bats, and then we can have a conversation about kind of where he's at, where you're doing, what's happening. We don't have Milam's heat chart right now. We don't know, but I know that my eyeballs are telling me that Milam is putting some good swings on pitches. Milam yesterday had a ball off the top of the wall the guy caught, right? Yeah. Then he lined out. Then it's just he's hitting balls on the barrel. They're not finding the grass. They're going to find it, right?
And look, I want to add this too before you get off of York too quick. We don't know the answer to this. We won't know the answer to this, meaning us outside the building. There is no way for us to know this. There will be no way for us to know this. But when you put that chart up there, go ahead and throw that back up there, Lloyd. When you put that chart up there and you talk about him and the intangibles and the person that he is, and you see how he's always handled pretty much the entire zone really well, right? He's not had a problem with it. And you can almost look at almost the entire inner half of the zone, especially up middle. I mean, like middle of the zone and up. This year it's been a struggle. If I'm trying to do more, or if I'm nervous in these spots and I don't know, and your heart rate's up, and you're trying to do too much, and you're over here doing the most, just trying to do like stuff you hadn't done before, does that make you miss? We don't have the answer to that.
Right. We don't know. We're not in the side of his head.
If Jay Johnson's a good judge of people and character and talking to someone and understanding who they are and what makes them tick and what makes them go and what makes them not, and is Alex Box with 8,000 to 12,000 to 15,000? That's kind of bringing him to a spot to where he can't bring himself down. We don't know that. We'll never know that. But those are the things that I think about when you see these numbers and you see that chart and you see how it is for someone who has put on paper, on the stat sheet, opposite numbers of this so far. Like I said, it could easily be nothing, right? You only got about 50 at-bats. This is not even a very large sample size. It could be nothing. It could be a little bit something that's fundamental. Or it could be this stuff that we're talking about here, which now, how do you fix that? How do you go about it? That's past my pay grade. I'm not that guy for that. But that's where you're at. You're trying to wonder, how do we get back to the norms of what this guy is and what he does and how he goes about it.
And look, we're not singling him out. The only reason we brought this up is because I believe that he is a really good hitter. And I believe he's going to be a force in the middle of this lineup. And it's just one example of that, right? It's just there's 4 or 5 guys consistently in the lineup that aren't being consistent. And, you're not going to score a bunch of runs and win a bunch.
Consistent. It's a breakaway from the norm, too.
Right.
Right. Everybody knows you brought him in knowing that he was going to be an impact bat. So it's not about singling him out. It's just understanding that he's someone that we know if he gets back to who he is and who everybody has known him to be, this lineup changes drastically. Just like we knew last year, this lineup needed, damn, man, like they got a good team, they got some good arms. This lineup needs some thump in the middle. Oh, shit. Ethan Fry, get in here and do your thing.
Right.
Like, it's not about singling them out. It's understanding that if these guys are who we think they are, if they are who they've been in their career, it looks different for the team outcome on the field than it has the last week or so. That's all.
Correct.
I was just gonna say, because talking about the guys that you're talking about, like the middle of the lineup guys, the guys outside of Curiel, Brown,
Curiel and Brown,
Milam, that you knew would be every day in the lineup guys that were going to, and you're missing Stanfield. I think that will be a big boost into what they're trying to do. But when it goes down from over the last 8 games, Kader Beatty 3 for 23, 1 extra base hit. Zach York 5 for 27, 2 extra base hits. Milam 4 for 27, 2 extra base hits. Trent Caraway 4 for 22, 1 extra base hit. Seth Dardar 3 for 23, 1 extra base hit. Braden Simpson 3 for 13, no extra base hits.
Right.
Like that, it's hard to win that way whenever you have 2, 4, 6 guys that are in your everyday lineup essentially not producing at the level that you want. And I say all that to say, what you saw on Sunday was a team that hit the ball hard every time they went up to bat. They competed, and they got essentially – that's a loss that can happen whenever you play baseball. But whenever you're losing in other ways, and then that loss happens, that's whenever you get into a funk.
And that's what you're seeing. That's why it's been. That's why it's been.
That's the frustrating
magnified.
game that you can happen. That can happen. You can have diving catches like whenever you.
The right fielder made 3 catches that are like what
unbelievable.
The hell? Diving catch off the wall,
off the wall, and then you have you pepper one at the second baseman who tries to make a great play, jumps up for it, hits off his glove. Next play makes a diving catch, going to his left, 2 outs, throws you out. And then that was a hard hit ball too. You're getting robbed, but those games are going to happen.
And that's part of it.
Exactly. I expect that to happen at some point in the year. You're going to get baseballed.
Right.
But whenever you're beating yourself consistently by going 3 for 23, 5, they didn't get robbed every
correct
20 other at bats. You have to be able to find ways to contribute in a way to be able to help the team, as opposed to pressing the way that they are right now. And from York's perspective, I do think there's a lot of coming to LSU to prove himself. He came and sat in here and said, I wanted to get drafted. I didn't get drafted. So what's my next move? I'm going to prove myself at the highest level of competition on the best team in America, off a national championship. I'm going to play every day. I'm going to play first base. I'm going to make myself undeniable. His father swam for the Air Force. His mother was a 4-time All-American softball player. His brother got drafted 17th overall. You don't think that he wants to be able to join that family conversation at Thanksgiving? I'm with the elite of the elite too. And you can see that he's trying to make that happen, and sometimes you press a little bit.
Right, and look, that's what makes playing sports at a high level so difficult.
It makes it fun.
Right, that's the hard part of looking from the outside in and saying, well, they're not playing really well. There's a mental part of it that is a big deal, right? The great teams can get through that, and the teams that maybe don't reach their potential, they struggle with that. I'm not saying the jury is still out on what this team is going to end up doing in that part of it. Now let's flip. I don't want to harp all on the offense side. Let's flip to some positivity. The pitching staff was elite. Case and Evans back to what we thought. Cooper Moore has been nails. William Schmidt is he's pitching exactly how we anticipated him pitching when he turned down all the money to come to LSU. I think William Schmidt has kind of taken a turn for the better. Based off of what he has added to his arsenal. And, Jared, I'm going to let you go into that.
Lloyd, do you have it on the thing to pull it up?
Yes, I do. Give me 1 second here.
So, last year we talked a whole lot about somebody who came in with a pretty dominant fastball, who had a pretty big curveball. Honestly, I think the curveball was so big that it fooled a lot of hitters, and it also fooled a lot of umpires, right? And how to call it, and how to because you don't usually see guys that have that big of a break, that big of an arc, and kind of bring it down and be able to throw it for strikes. And it was hard to land that pitch for strikes, but then also throw it in the dirt. So trying to find somewhere in between, finding a pitch that worked in between. You watch Cade Anderson go from his freshman season to the next year of finding a third pitch, or
because what was Case and Evans' top 2 pitches when Cade Anderson's top 2 pitches when he got here?
Fastball, curveball, right? Or a second pitch,
curveball.
the third pitch that he was able to put into his arsenal that became his second pitch. Well, we're watching William Schmidt basically do the exact same thing. Last year it was a fastball, curveball guy, 2-pitch guy, pretty much. And you saw last year a lot of the big curveball, even if he threw it and he landed in the top of the zone, never got the call. Couldn't get to a spot to where he could just bury it and throw it and bury it at the end of the at bats. Now, a year later, he's found a slider, which by the numbers, as you can see already in 4 starts this year, the curveball is a distant third pitch. At best, it's a third pitch against lefties. It's almost non-existent against righties. He's throwing the slider at almost a 40% clip against righties, at a 31% clip against lefties. So he's been fastball, slider, mixing in the curveball whenever he can and whenever he wants to. And I think as the season goes, you'll really start to see him maybe start stealing pitches in a 0-0 count and or a 2-0 count with the curveball, and then go back to that regularly scheduled program of fastball, slider. And you're seeing him do that successfully, and it's coming to fruition as you're seeing the stat lines that he's putting up and how he's pitching on the field as well. So it's been pretty impressive. It's been pretty comparable to what you've seen from Cade Anderson, and I only expect him to keep going up and to the right. That uptick is where you want to go, and if you're going to get that from William Schmidt, and you're going to get that from Kason Evans, and you're going to get that from Cooper as well, that's a very formidable weekend rotation, and now getting that bullpen to come along and form and gel together, that's a good spot to be in.
Correct. And you have, a little bit more into kind of what he's doing and how he's changed the way he's pitching. Is his fastball is great, right? It comes in hot. He throws it from a high angle. But as a right-handed hitter, if you told me this guy, right-handed pitcher versus a right-handed hitter versus me, he only has a hard fastball and a big curveball, I'm happy. Because he doesn't have anything that's going to get me off of the heater. I can be ready for the heater, and I can still adjust to that breaking ball because it's going to go up and down, and it's not really going to it's going to go up this way and down this way. It's not going to go right to left. So it's not really going to get me off of plane. I can just, as long as I kind of stay back enough, I can go out there and kind of make the adjustment. Now you throw a nasty slider, now that gets you off of plane as a hitter, right? Now that ball, the slider's coming in harder, so you think it's a fastball, and then it's gonna fall off the table, and you're not gonna be able to get to it, right? And that's why you're seeing him throw it more to righties, because it gets them off of the heater, right? And then the lefty, as a lefty, and Jared can talk about this, he didn't have anything that got them off the plate last year. He didn't have anything that went into them to make them think that, okay, I have to be ready for this, right? And now he's got the slider where he can back foot him, he can backdoor it, and then that slider makes the breaking ball, the curveball, that much better, because now they can't say, oh, he only has 2 pitches, and he has nothing that can come into me.
Yeah. I mean, his over-the-top slot is kind of, like you said, it allows you as a hitter to be able to sit on fastball, and if he's not really landing the curveball, there's not much else to look for. So you're really looking for that one pitch over the plate and knowing that I can go and hunt this pitch. Adding that slider into it, knowing now that there's a pitch that's going to come out, and I don't know, I'm not in the box. We haven't talked to anybody that's faced him, but if he's got a slider that's basically a dot where you don't even really, or not even the dot, where you don't really pick up the spin, well, now it just looks like another dead fastball. And if that is the slider that's being played off the fastball, it makes it really tough, right? Because he can throw that pitch off the plate where it looks like a fastball off the plate, and it's back door, and it's hitting the back door, it's in the corner at set. He can throw that pitch where it looks like it's a fastball in, and next thing you know, it's bouncing off your top foot as you're swinging as a lefty, right? And so to be able to do those 2 things, if he's got that kind of spin and that kind of rotation on it, makes it really, really, really tough. And then now, once I see that big curveball that starts up, you just freeze, because you've already shut down, thinking that that's a fastball, it's not coming back down, no big deal.
Correct. And he's been amazing. He's been great. He's been amazing. The adjustments he's made from one year to the other has been awesome.
The jump you wanted.
Obviously, that's a big Yeski. Yeski has helped Cade Anderson develop the slider. He's helped him. He's helped William Schmidt develop the slider. But I think the big thing coming into the year was who's going to be the Friday. Kason's going to be the ace, right? Up until last weekend, last Friday, it hadn't felt like, he has had all of his pitches. He hadn't been on his A game yet. He's still been good, but not great. Friday he was great. Friday, he was attacking guys. He was 0-2 on more guys on Friday than I think he's been all year, right? And you saw that in how he was able to get through the game. He got through 5 1/3 with only 71 pitches thrown. Had it been the SEC play, he would have kept going, right? He touched 99 in the first inning. You saw, I don't know if it was a shift in what he was doing or if he just got comfortable and he kind of got into a rhythm, but he was attacking guys. What did we talk about on Friday before the game? What do we want to see from Kason Evans? Fastball command, have his pace of play, go and attack guys, and not have to work back in hitters' counts. He did all of those things, right? And for me, looking at what is to come, that's a huge thing. Because now you have your stopper on Friday if he's going to continue to do that, where he's going to go out there and you feel like every game you're in it, right? You feel like every game on Saturday you're in it, and now with Schmidt on Sunday, you feel like in every single game with those guys on the mound, you are in it. So with a struggling offense, that's the only thing you can ask for. So I was impressed by the starters.
Yeah, just watching what Kason Evans did, that I think without even talking any stats, without even talking any numbers, I think visually when you saw that reminded you of everything that you saw him do last year. The command, the stuff, the swag that he pitched with, the pace that he played with, everything that he did in that start reminded you of what he did and why we talked about coming into the year, even though the numbers truly wasn't bad. I'm not going to sit here and talk about ERA. ERA with 2 or 3 starts don't mean shit to me, honestly. Especially if it's elevated, it doesn't mean anything because one start could really just tank those numbers and really bring it back down. So, I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about the rest of it. That's why when you watched him through the first 2, not even really the third, but the first 2 starts, you were like, it don't look the same. It was because what you saw last year was so dominant. He had such an ability to control the strike zone with the pitches that he wanted to, and he got you into pitcher's counts, and he put you away. And he did it quick, and he did it fast, and he did it very dominating, and he was on and off the field so quickly, right? That's what it looked like Friday night. And that's what we were waiting for him to get back to. And just like you alluded to earlier, he could have easily kept going. He could have pitched into the 7th in that game. The pitch count was down, those things. So I would love to know mentally from the first to third starts, did you change anything? Did you feel more comfortable? Did you drop whatever you were trying to change and go back to the mindset you had last year? Like, what did you do to get yourself there? Because visually, that's the case in Evans we saw all year last year.
Right. Yep, 100%. Before we go to the SEC conversation and then get to our seggies, the moral of the story of all of this conversation is LSU playing subpar? Yes. Is it a lost cause? No. Are they that far off? No. Do I think they're going to be fine? Yes. Right? I don't think that they have it. It just so happened to be in a 10-day stretch where they have played very bad baseball. I believe that you're going to see them play better tomorrow. You're going to see them play better over the weekend. It's not a talent thing. It's not being able to do it type of thing. It is, hey, we just have to get everybody on board, and it just has to happen. And that comes from the players. So I do believe that it's going to get turned around. I do believe you're going to look at it into the year, and they're going to be where they need to be. But it's going to come from them, and they're going to have to go make the adjustments, no doubt. But it's not a lost cause. I do believe that they're not as far off as some may think that they are.
Yeah, some of these numbers don't help that cause, but it just shows that you're still able to win by playing this way, where you have, and we don't think ERA matters right now, but this is just LSU baseball holistically, not just starters, but everybody in between, whether it be relievers, closers, stoppers, whatever you want to call it. 16th in the league. How many teams are there in the SEC?
Oh, right, 16.
Right. Batting average, you're 14th in the league.
Correct.
Fielding percentage is the one that irks me a little bit, and I think that will be probably alleviated a little bit by a little bit, I mean a lot of it, when Stanfield comes back, because you have people that are forced to play out of position a little bit to get them in the lineup, and Stanfield kind of quells both of those situations.
Well, those stats right there just show you it's a microcosm of what's been happening over the last 10 days, right? Like, a lot of those errors have happened over the last 10 days, right? And a lot of those errors happened because of – not because, but a lot of those errors happened on plays that you're not going to see very – I love John Pearson. You're not going to see him at first base, right? That's a couple errors. You had a bunch of pitchers make errors, right? I believe that there's probably – out of the 7 errors they made between Monday and Wednesday, I think 5 came from Pearson, which I'm not trying to call him out, and the pitching staff, right? I don't know how many errors they made this weekend. I don't think it was many. And so I think some of those things as the season progresses are going to – do I think they're going to be as good defensively as they were last year? No. But I don't think they're going to be last in the SEC either.
I just brought up the Stanfield thing because I think a lot of people are going to point to the misplay and left by Braun.
That wasn't an error.
And it's not an error, but it is.
Correct. That's runs.
Right. So
right?
I think all of that adds to – if it's not an error, it adds to your ERA.
Right.
But I think that's where Stanfield can come in and kind of – it's a blessing in disguise a little bit to have something that you can point to and say, okay, this is one thing that can change it. It brings you back a stability, somebody that has been there and done it. He's in his, fourth year? Second year at LSU, won a national championship last year, gets to play a position in which he was an everyday center fielder, now he gets to move to the left, brings the defense, and then it gives you a spot in the lineup where you're almost supplementing offense for defense because you don't know what to do at that spot. You don't have really an everyday left fielder because you thought you'd have Stanfield.
Correct.
He gets hurt, and now whenever he gets back in the lineup, I think it makes your defense that much better, and you don't have to have this, horse and pony show. Okay. This horse and pony show of, if you're playing second, then I have to put you in left. If you're going to DH, then I have to put him at second.
Right.
And if you play second, actually you're going to play third or left. And it just kind of gives you stability that you've been looking for.
Correct. All right, let's go real quick around the SEC. We're not going to talk about every team. This weekend was a tough one for the SEC. LSU lost the series to an inferior team. Tennessee almost got swept by an inferior team. Arkansas split a 4-game series with an inferior team. Who else lost this weekend?
SEC baseball.
Georgia did take an L to Wright State, maybe, I think.
Georgia did?
Or was it Tennessee that got beat by Wright State? Georgia did. They lost one of the games.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that.
But there's 4 or 5 SEC teams that lost series to teams that they should not have lost to. So it's happening around there. But as far as this weekend, what's something that surprised, or I guess not negatively or positively, what's something that shocked you this far in the season in the SEC play?
I started off right now. I think I'll sit here and talk about Georgia and how they are swinging it. And if you haven't heard of a man named Daniel Jackson, you will soon. That name's going to run loud in the SEC. He is the catcher for the Georgia Bulldogs. But right now, Georgia is leading the league in homers as a team. I say the league, I mean the entire nation. Right now, Georgia has 61 homers. The next best team, or the next highest number of homers in the country, is Vanderbilt with 42. So you heard that right. They're up by almost a full 20 homers on the entire nation right now. And Daniel Jackson is a big part of what they're doing. He's got 14 on the year. They've played 18 games. I'm going to say it again. They've played 18 damn games. He's got 14 homers. Is that
ain't bad.
Does that play?
That plays.
Does that count? So that when I watched the weekend and what they did over the weekend, I think they hit almost like 10 homers over the weekend as a team. That's one that sticks out to me. They have a strong lineup now. Am I sold? Am I bought in on Georgia fully, completely yet? No, I'm not. They had Charlie Condon 2 years ago who swung it like crazy. They had Zaborowski last year who swung it like crazy. I believe both of those years they had home regional and or super regional games and didn't walk themselves into Omaha. So there's a lot that needs to happen still over there, especially on the pitching side. And obviously you got to get into conference play to keep doing this. I just think it's crazy who from LSU, from Mississippi State to the big leagues, to LSU, to Georgia, a notorious pitching guy is what Wes Johnson has been. They have swung the absolute mess out of it over there at Georgia, and it continues to happen this year.
They're doing. Georgia always seems to have somebody do that, right? And like we always say every year, show me when it happens in the SC, or show me on the road. You know what I mean? But that's an unbelievable start. 14 homers in 18 games is nothing to turn your nose up. For me, the most surprising thing that I have seen so far in the SEC is I didn't think Vandy was going to come out the gate struggling the way they've struggled. They're I don't know how many losses they have, but it's not kind of what you anticipate. I think they were the number 1 national seed last year. They had a lot of talent coming back. Their pitching staff is supposed to be really good, as it always is. So that's been a shock to me. And then on the flip side, I don't think I was expecting Auburn to be as good as they are. Do you have anything that shocks you?
I don't know if I want to say. I don't know while we're watching the fucking weather.
I don't know
I'm
what's
trying to
going on.
watch Team USA. I don't care about the Viper radar on the Storm Tracker team. Like, prayers, thoughts, and prayers. This is a T's and P's moment. I want to see Skeens throw the fastball. But what I've been surprised, I don't want to say surprised by, but whenever you look at LSU and you see the things that have happened throughout, I guess, this, 14-game slate, 15-game slate, to see a team like Texas be able to run through what you kind of thought LSU was going to do and assert themselves as, we ain't losing.
Yep.
Like, to go, it's, obviously you've seen it with LSU, it's hard to win every game that you played, no matter the competition, but to be able to go through your first 15 and with the pressure that they had of being labeled as a top 5 team in the country, didn't really do anything last year, but to still have that label on you and to go, oh yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Like, you've been waiting for Texas to kind of drop the other foot and be that power player in the SEC and college baseball. It might be this year just because of the start that they've gotten off to, because like I said, it obviously is not as easy as you think it would be. So to keep it together for a 15-game win streak out the gate, something to monitor.
No doubt.
That and Mississippi State, obviously.
Yeah.
I think they scored 26 runs
in one game.
In a game this weekend.
Yeah.
So the SEC is still the SEC, but it's been a little bit confounding when you see Mississippi State do what they've done, and then you look at the other side of it, and you see Florida that continues to drop series. And you're like, oh, well, what's going on over there? Because at the end of the year,
You thought
it
they
seems
righted
like-
the ship, and then
it's
Hey,
been
mind you, I'll throw this out there too. Like, I want people to understand this too, because I do think this is a very underneath conversation that a lot of people probably don't understand. That's probably going on. Not probably. It's 100% going on at LSU. Mississippi State. They just dumped all of this money into the baseball stadium, right? It's a beautiful stadium.
Yep.
Everyone said it's an awesome place. Mississippi State also, at the same time, cannot, does not, and for the foreseeable future, probably will not be a legitimate contender on the football side. The word has been that they have dumped a lot of money into this roster. And if that is true, that roster is playing well right now. And I bring that up to say is I do think a lot of these schools going forward, especially as there's no guardrails that's really put in this thing, you're going to sit there and have to choose as a institution, as a university, as a school, what sports do we want to be good at?
Right.
And I think that that's something that's going, I think that's a conversation that's happening at LSU. And I'm not talking about in terms of what they've spent this year, but I'm talking about in terms of how this thing's going to go going forward.
No doubt.
Because
No doubt.
if you're LSU, you're the preeminent force in what college baseball is.
You are college baseball.
Right. And that gets into a bigger conversation of you allocated a lot of money, and there was an article that came out talking about how much LSU lost last year versus how they finally got to turn a profit athletically, what you're doing with the $20 million that you're getting from the SEC. And it doesn't help that your other revenue-generating sport, college basketball, may be looking to hire a new head coach. Where does that money come from? It's money that could be allocated to baseball. Instead, it's going to be allocated toward, do they want to compete in that as well? Do you want to be the school that is good at everything? Or are you just going to be, do you have to pick and choose at this point? Because LSU's trying to be dominant in everything.
Right.
They're trying to compete at everything. And what you did in football, $200+ million to be able to, that's your lifeblood. You had to save it, whatever the surgery cost, we're doing it. Now, when you flip it on its ear and you go, okay, do we care about basketball? Because if so, there's a name out there that everybody's saying, and it's not going to be cheap to get, and it's going to be $7 million to let your coach now walk, and then whatever it costs to buy out the staff, and then whatever it takes to bring in a staff and a name that he's already had a pretty prominent basketball program that went to a Final Four not that long ago. And so if you're going to have to buy him out and get him and Will Wade to come back to LSU, that's money that comes out of LSU baseball's pocket. And if you're Jay Johnson, you look around and you go, what's it take? I came here, in 4 years I've won 2. Can I get a little something?
Yeah.
Like, can you help me out? There's adjustments to be made here too.
I think that's the bigger number too. I think that's the bigger conversation of it, Lloyd, is not so much exactly what it's going to take to get the coach there, is that if the coach is expected to win and he's wanting to come in and win, you got to imagine if those guys are going to be chasing and demanding the things that they need, the resources that they need or that they feel they need to actually put together a competent roster and put the program in a situation to do that. So that, I think, is those are the competing dollars that LSU baseball could probably use and or would use to be able to fill out the roster that they need, because they already got the coach. Mm-hmm. They already got enough of, if you want to call it, the facilities. Now, there's things that you could do, obviously, but they got a coach that's here, that's paid, that's under contract.
Yeah.
They got facilities that are good. Obviously, there's things that you can do to make it better, but you always gonna need the players.
Correct.
You always need players. And if we're losing in the arms race in terms of how the players are getting here, then you might see a slip in the program. And I'm not saying that's happening now. I'm not. I'm just saying going forward, that as this thing goes right now, that is something that's going on. And the reason I bring it up is because if someone like Mississippi State is able to make a run, win this year, do whatever, it's a copycat league. Teams are going to start doing the same thing.
Because you start figuring out, what are we good at? What drives the
They're
school?
not going to be competing at football, so are they dumping more sources into baseball?
Right.
And how many teams are going to sit here and say, well, what are we good at? What do we want to dump it into?
Yeah.
You've already seen it happen at Vanderbilt. They got good at football. You see the baseball program start to slip. Like, we're allocating our funds differently than what we used to.
Yeah.
And for LSU baseball, if it becomes, no, we're going all in on football and basketball, you're left with the dredges of, does it even matter if I win? Because for a competitive basketball team, the number's $15 million.
Yeah.
If you want to compete, that's what you got to spend. For baseball, I don't know what the number is, but I know that's $15 million that LSU baseball isn't getting, and you only have.
Well, that's $50 million that basketball's not getting either.
Wait, it depends on who the coach is.
Yeah.
But if it does turn into that, and that's the way you're getting me here, because that's what Lane Kiffin said the same thing. I don't know my contract, but I do know what I want the NIL budget to be, and that's where I want it to go. For Jay Johnson, he wants the same thing. I want to be able to compete, and if by winning and that's not enough for you, what do I have to do?
Yeah. It's a big conversation. It's a conversation he's had a lot of times, and he's going to continue to have it.
You only have so many, like from the Skip era, that are still passing the hat for LSU baseball because that's all they know.
Right.
They don't have it doesn't feel like you have that younger generation of people that they just know that LSU baseball is always good and it's supposed to be good, and this is the way that it works.
Yeah.
It's never been a cry for money or a cry to pay the players. It's always been LSU baseball sustains itself. And at this point, if other people start reaching into your pockets, you need help.
Yeah, you're going to need some help. All right. We going to get to the Seggies? Mistake of the day?
Oh. Louisiana.
Bregman up with runners on first and second, 2 outs, bottom of the first.
Cubby, Tiger. The dream, as it were, for a 7-year-old boy watching WGN Channel 12 in Alexandria.
You got two LSU Tigers playing in the game today. Skeen started and Bregman's
How old is he?
Bregman?
Yeah.
31? 32?
Just, I guess he's legacy call. Is he still? I mean, he should be.
Oh, he had a good year last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just feels like he's very Team USA.
Yeah, he had a great year.
But speaking of Louisiana, we have an issue for one of our own. Although he did not play at LSU, was forced to be, or was told he would be a tight end. There is trouble in paradise for Dak Prescott as he has called off his wedding after a joint bachelorette party with his fiance, as it obviously something happened, because when these things happen, something happened. So Dallas Cowboys superstar Dak Prescott and his fiancée Sarah Jane Ramos are not getting married, TMZ Sports reports. The two
they were supposed to get married in Italy.
After 1 month before their wedding, we're told the relationship had been rocky behind the scenes for months, but things came to a head after a blow-up argument at their joint bachelor and bachelorette parties in the Bahamas, and Sarah Jane called it off. Dak Prescott's fiancée celebrated her bachelorette party with some of the Cowboys' wags. What is that? Hot girls, like hot wives?
Wives and girlfriends.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me what this video is?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's them at that's their bachelorette party.
I figured that much, but what we got going on?
I thought you were going to say like a fight or something.
No, no fight.
The rumor is that she did not want to sign the prenup after he signed his extension. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what the internet says.
Oh, you got a better lawyer.
That's what the internet says. I don't know. That's tough. That's a tough deal. I'd imagine they spent a lot of money on the wedding already with a month ago. But
if you truly believe, I truly believe you can get through anything in life as long as you have really great friends. I love these girls so much.
There you go.
So
positive.
Let's all find ourselves. They have 2 kids.
All right, curtain call, Lloyd.
Well, Dak also got his ass kicked at spring break whenever he was a quarterback at Mississippi State. So I mean, that's not, if you're a fucking D1 athlete,
anyway,
you can't be getting
curtain calls.
Can't be getting folded on the beach by a couple of 5'10" frat dudes.
Out of control.
Curtain call.
I mean, it's Skeens, huh?
Is it?
Skeens and Bregman. I mean, that's
LSU
Have you seen the
Skeens and
picture
Bregman.
that LSU baseball put out?
We're just talking about where LSU should be dumping his money besides football. Well, look who's playing for our country right now.
No doubt.
Yeah, America's ace. He's been dubbed.
Basis Juice with the big dumper.
Yeah.
Oh, the ball that Schwarber hit was such an automatic homer. Like, they got to pitch to somebody. It's like, well, this is not the guy you want to really have to face. But it was middle, and he
demolished it.
But here is LSU Baseball put out a Paul Skeens Day tweet, and this is something that I'd imagine means more to probably anybody on the roster.
Out of all the jerseys that I've had, the USA one's the one that I'm most proud of wearing. Biggest thing is just going out there and executing, so looking forward to it.
Love that. Robot.
This is the only time I've seen him smile when he talks about Team USA.
He's a robot. That's a great. Like, I'm on board with that curtain call. I will add a small curtain call to Jake Brown. Tied the LSU record for 3 home runs in a game. He went to left field, center field, and right field in 3 consecutive at bats. His 4th at bat was just a simple barreled ball up the middle for a single. 6 RBIs.
He got booed.
Got out to an unbelievable start to the season. I think he's hitting .431 with 26 stakes and 8 home runs going into SEC play. Great start to the season. Great weekend. Obviously, he would rather get dubs than just have the stats, and I believe he's going to be a catalyst on turning this thing around. But curtain call to him for hitting 3 homers a game. That's pretty impressive.
3 in 3 innings.
3 in 3 innings.
11th player in LSU history to do it.
Yep.
Like,
Never the other 10.
been a lot of good bats that come through LSU.
First person to do that, to hit 3 home runs in his first 3 at bats since Eddie Furnace.
Oh, that's good company.
Yeah. All right, that's all we got for you on this beautiful Monday night. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. LSU baseball will be fine. They'll start playing better, I promise. We love and support. We love the support. We love y'all. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you can't watch us, but you like listening to us or anywhere you get your pods, we'll be back live in studio on Wednesday with Ask Mikey and Mitch. I'm sure there's not any questions at all for us, but if you have them, throw them in there. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Enjoy the World Baseball Classic. Enjoy America. Enjoy Paul Skeens on the bump. See y'all on Wednesday. Peace.
Yeah. SEC talk. Got the fire. Come on, boys. Figure it out.